This is Steve Marinucci, and I'm talking with Justin Smith of filmisfabulous.org. Thank you for getting back to me. You found the very first Top of the Pops that the Beatles were on. Is that correct?
It's the first pre-recorded Top of the Pops that
Okay.
the Beatles did. So, as your listeners will probably be aware, the Beatles only appeared once live on Top of the Pops. It was common practice when groups couldn't make it to the BBC studios where Top of the Pops was recorded, which back in the early 60s was in Manchester.
Hmm.
They would pre-record, especially artists of the stature of the Beatles. They would pre-record in another studio. And so this was a recording that was done at the BBC's Shepherd's Bush studios, which is still standing. It's now the Shepherd's Bush Theatre, the O2 Theatre there, and that's in West London. And they were down in London. So the producer, Johnny Stewart, got them into the theatre on the 19th of March, 1964, and they recorded the latest single, Can't Buy Me Love, with You Can't Do That alongside.
And you guys had a full description of there were four takes on Can't Buy Me Love and two on You Can't Do That. Um,
Correct. Yeah. And what's interesting about this is a camera negative. It's a 35 millimeter camera negative.
hmm
So, you've got not only those takes, but you've got quite a lot of banter in between the numbers. There were some technical hitches on the first couple of run throughs of Can't Buy Me Love, and they had to abandon them. And so, the band were joking about, and there's some amusing byplay that's going on around the fringes of the recording itself, which, of
hmm
course, Beatles fans is just wonderful because naturally, and I should make this point, they were miming to the recording of both songs.
Thank you. Thank you for
So
saying that.
you've got to remember that. So when there was a technical hitch or whatever, the take that they scrapped a take, they junked it, and there was some jokes and some things going around in between takes, and that's really nice, I think, for Beatles fans to capture. The mood of the group when they were, really at the pinnacle of their fame and popularity. It's a beautiful thing to have discovered.
And the You Can't Do That take has John mugging the camera. I can just imagine that.
He used to goof around a lot, as you probably know.
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So that's nice. It's really good that this has come to light because the only existing clips on YouTube of these recordings come from filmed recordings off people's TV sets. And there are a couple of clips that are knocking around on YouTube, but this is the real McCoy. This is 35 millimeter negative, and it's going back to the BBC. It'll be scanned, and hopefully, we'll be able to show it to the world as soon as we possibly can.
Where was it found? Was it found in England?
Yep. So, for your listeners, I should explain that Film is Fabulous is a charitable trust, which is a partnership between a small group of film collectors based in the Midlands, in Leicester, and film and television historians from De Montfort University in Leicester, of whom I am one. And we got together when my associate, John Franklin, film collector, came to me and said, I'm really concerned. The private collectors are dying and films are getting junked. They're getting thrown out in garbage and house clearance and so on. And families don't know what to do with these films. We need to do something about this. And that's how we started rescuing films from deceased film collectors and cataloguing them. Stuff that's run of the mill, we pass on, we sell off at auction. The proceeds go back to the family, back to the estates. But along the way, we've been lucky enough to come up with some pretty special items that are missing from official archives, not only British TV, but also we found a couple of silent films, including one from 1919 from the Selznick Company. That's
Hmm.
gone back to the George Eastman Museum. So, we've been fortunate, but it's unearthing some really interesting finds. And this came not untypically from a deceased collector who had worked in the industry. We know that some point earlier in his life. And we don't know how he came to acquire it, but we do know that the BBC frequently shot outside broadcasts and such events on 35 and 16mm film, and Top of the Pops regularly used these kind of inserts from all kinds of bands, not
Mm,
least, of course, American bands as well, who, of course, couldn't be over here. So, this is the origins, if you will, Steve, of pop
right.
video, obviously, but these were filmed performances. And, that's where it began, really.
What was the other one you guys found recently? It was like within the past few weeks. I'm going to look it up on my phone and see if I can find it. It was a Beatle thing. Were you guys the ones that found the Beatle clip from Doctor Who? Is that film is fabulous also? No?
No. We found two missing episodes of Doctor Who. And yeah, that's been pretty big news in the States with Doctor Who fans as well as here in England too.
Oh, here it is. It was June 1st. Beatles 35 millimeter negative donated. Maybe we're talking about the same thing here.
This is what we've just been talking about, Steve. It's only the one Beatles film we found, but it's a pretty special one. Yeah.
I know it'll probably get shown in England. What are the chances that people in America are going to see it? Do you know?
I can't tell you that. Obviously, with such items, the first thing is we return them to the copyright holder, and that's the BBC. We'll have to discuss with them what their plans might be. We ordinarily will get an item that is rare, missing, cleaned, professionally scanned, and then we return both the original negative in this case and the scan to the BBC, and we'll talk to them about their plans for making it available to the public. Of course, I understand that BBC iPlayer, which may be where it appears, that's certainly where some of the other items from the BBC we found have appeared. I know that that's not very good for your listeners in the States.
Oh, because yeah, they don't run that and give us
It's
access
geo
to that.
blocked. It's geo blocked. Yeah. So I can't, give you any assurances, I'm afraid, about how and where and when it might be available. What we do, because, we're based here in England, when we talk to the BBC, is we ask them if we can screen items publicly in theatres. And so we did that with the Doctor Who's. In fact, we did it in London, we did it in Manchester with the Doctor Who's, and we're going to do it in a couple of months' time back here in Leicester as well. We try to make them available to as wide an audience here in the UK as possible, and the BBC are very good in allowing us a license to do that. So that's part of our aim. We don't want to keep anything under wraps. When we find things, we want them to be seen by as many people as possible. But ultimately, your listeners will understand that that's not our decision. It's
Right.
down to the broadcaster.
Okay. I think we've basically covered everything we can cover. Am I right?
That's great, Steve. Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
very much. So I appreciate Justin. Thank you. Let me see what time it is. Oh, it's not early there.
Well, it's 10 to 11, but
Okay.
it's a pleasure, Steve. Best do these things strike while the iron's hot, they say.
Yes. All
Okay.
right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate this.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Just before I go, a reminder, it's www.filmisfabulous.org.uk. Okay,
Beautiful.
that's where your listeners will find us.
Okay. That's a good thing to say. Thank you again.